welcome back to Craftopia and round 2 of this video. I shot about an hour's worth of footage and it was unacceptable, so we're going to do this again. I hope you enjoy. So we're going to jump right back into this, and I'm going to tell you a little bit of what I've done. So my character here from my last online play is still there. I deleted my world from my online play because it was complete and utter chaos. The good thing is, it doesn't matter which character you play, whichever one you select, whatever world you have available, you can jump directly into that world. Your character is going to stay the same, and whatever era on that world is unlocked, it's what you're going to jump into. This is my offline play, and I'm a little bit further in. So if I were to jump into that, I would be a very low-level character jumping into a mid-level world. Not a good idea, so I started a new one. So we're going to jump into that. As I said, this is a early access game. It is still very, very new. It came out last year in September, so a lot of things are going to change. Speaking of change, you'll notice that here my world is now empty because I've deleted it and I've started fresh. But the character stays the same, and anything that they had on them, anything that they have unlocked, is still as it was. So, plus. Now, what I want to do is, instead of just building random stuff everywhere and running through the game and you guys just kind of try and keep up and keep along, I am going to go by era per video and try and go through the stuff that you can make and what it does and how it can be useful to you. So for starters, a little bit of the keybinding. Everything is still default. I haven't changed everything. So if you hit M, it's going to show you your world map. This is all discovered because I've already seen everything. Key features of your world map is these here, these two icons. Those are your dungeons. This game is a mixture of a whole bunch of other game types. There's crafting, there's survival, there's cooking and fishing, and hack and slash, gathering resources, dungeons. It's pretty much everything all wrapped into one. Now, move back to the map. These icons here, those are bedrocks. They are natural resources that are, from what appear to be, never ending. I can hit this thing all day long. Every time I hit it, it's going to give me resources from its type, which this one is sand. On this map, all three of these are sand. So this map here is not ideal. So we're going to move out of here. Before we go, we want to break all these drums. Because these drums, usually, when they're not loaded, give you cooking ingredients, and that will give you salt. So it is worthwhile to run through this map and just kind of collect all the stuff that could be worthwhile. The resources, like copper and iron, and the trees and the stone, all that stuff you can grab. But I would recommend getting off of this island before you try and do any kind of build-up. Building houses or bases or automations, which will come later. On each map there are also treasure chests, if I can elite after you collected them. So there are treasure chests scattered around the map. They look like your typical treasure chests on the brown box with a lid, and they're usually worthwhile. They give you some low-level starter stuff to get you going. Now, when you do start, you're not gonna have everything I have here. When you start off in, hang on, drop something. You start off in your underwear until you get to the point where you can make your own gear and equipment. So, first things first, some more keybinds. If you hit tab, that's going to open up your inventory. From your inventory, you can select through here in the middle all your different categories. Now, up top, you can use your key and E, and it'll cycle through your different pages here. There's also individual quick keys. If I close this and hit O, it's going to open my crafting. Now, this is everything that I can make with my hands without the use of a workbench or a blacksmith. It's everything that I can make on the go if I have the resources for it. You hit P, this opens your missions. These missions here are essential because if you select one of these and look here to the left, it tells you what it's going to give you. If I complete all 5 of these, it's going to give me a skill point. Skill points are going to be really good later on. Now, if I complete these 3, it is going to give me an inventory slot for my usable items. So if I get back over here to my inventory and go down to my usable items, you can see I've got 3 full rows. Once those 3 rows are full, I can't carry anything else unless it's stackable. What that mission will do is give me another start of another row, and then obviously more room to carry things. This one will give me material inventory +1, so each one will give you something different. Skill points, usable inventory, you get the picture. So moving on, we have skills. That would be your hotkey Y. I'm not going to go through each one of these because that would take a really long time. They get pretty far in. But there's 5 different categories: basic, combat, magic, living, and tricks. You do get 1 reset, so if you decide you want to be a mage and you build it all out, and then you decide it's not really for you, you can reset. After you've used your 1 free reset, I'm not sure what happens, so we'll hang on to that. Maybe we'll find out later on. Okay. Picture book. This menu, I'm not really sure what it does. If you played this game and you know what it does, leave me a message and maybe help me out, and I might be able to explain it a little better in my next video. So, with that, the basic concept of the game is crafting and survival. So, we need to craft. We want to make, the very first thing is a workbench. It costs you 10 stone and 10 logs. I'm not going to craft it because, like I said, I've already done this video and I've already made everything. So I've got everything in my inventory already. I'm going to go and place the things down as they come along and show you the resources that you need to gather them. And so we're going to start with our workbench because that's the very first item that you need. Drop it down here just because, and you're going to open it up. This is where you can build your intermediate items. If you hit O, as I said, this is everything you can build per hand. It's very limited. The workbench gives you an extended version, and you can build a few more things in this area. it's further now because I've already advanced one there. The next thing you want to build is your altar of civilization. You're going to pop that down, wait for it to build up. This is one of the ones that takes a minute. While it's doing that, the next item you want to build is the altar of transportation. So we're going to go ahead and plop that down so that as I'm explaining it, it'll be done in the next part. These two take forever to spawn in. Everything else is pretty much instant. And up there, we'll get to that later. Altar of civilization is now finished. I'm going to go into there. And this is where you advance to the next era. I've already done it, so I'm already in the frontier, or the agricultural age, and that unlocked everything that you saw available in my crafting menu. This is what the screen looks like, and here is what you need to get to the next level. So in order to progress to the frontier age, I will need wheat flour. I'll show you how to get that, a detector, and a copper shield. Once I have those items and the money, I can progress. But since I've already done that, I'm going to pick this back up. The next step would have been to craft the altar of transportation. We've done that. It's right here. So when we go into this, you're going to come into your world map. There are a lot of slots for islands. When you unlock these, so for example this one, you have to pay resources and money. This one is a lot cheaper. It was stone and wood, and it costs only 100 gold to unlock for each one of these. 100 gold, 100 gold, 100 gold. I've unlocked these three now in the last video that I made, and we're going to keep pressing onwards until we've got everything here unlocked. So once you've unlocked another island, it's unlocked. You can travel freely between them all. You don't have to keep paying any kind of fees. Once it's open, it's open. So that's definitely a plus. So I've unlocked 3 islands so far. The Island of Fire and Sand, Desert of Mountain, and Island of Cove. Now, I was in the Island of Cove because I prefer not to build in deserts. It's personal preference. If that's your thing, be my guest. So we're going to go back out to the Island of Cove. We're going to travel. It's going to spawn us in at the altar of transportation for this island. There it is. I've already been here. I've got my crafting bench down here, and I've got a random chest that I put down just to store a few extra items that I had on it. Okay. So, you got your workbench down. You can pick everything up, and it puts it usually on your toolbar. And if you hit the corresponding button, it will automatically let you place it back down. And if you open the menu, now that we've got our workbench, we can keep building. So the first thing you want to make is your stone furnace. It's going to cost you 10 stone and 10 logs. It's really cheap, and crafting it is really quick. So, you're going to find your stone furnace. I've got it right here. If you right click on it, it's automatically going to equip it to you, and then when you exit the menu, it's already ready to build. You place wherever you like. I'm going to place that down, and as you would expect, the stone furnace is going to allow you to build your ingots and charcoal. It's only the basic 3 right now, but as you progress later on, they're just going to unlock more. Okay. The next thing you want to make is your blacksmith. Okay. I'm going to go here. I've already got the blacksmith made, so we're going to equip it. And we're going to drop it down. This one is essential because this allows you to make your weapons, accessories, shields, and your first set of armor, if you can call that armor. So there's your swords, your bows, and one-handed swords, bows, two-handed swords, and your one-handed short swords. I don't know if there's a difference between the two. More or less maybe attack. Okay. Now a little bit about weapons. From everything I've seen on the forums, nobody recommends the two-handed swords. Their attack speed is very slow, and it's not worth it. Just leave it alone. I'm not personally somebody that uses bows in games, but in this game, the bows are very, very overpowered. As soon as you can make one, I would recommend making it and keeping it with you, just in case. You have your one-handed weapons. You can, if you're skilled into it, dual wield, or you can use a combination of weapon and shield. Your accessories here, they're also very important. If you click on, for example, this one, and you look at the attributes here, it gives you minus magic attack, but it gives you heat resistance. Now, heat resistance is important because if you're going to, say, this island here, island of fire and sand, if you go into the fire area, it's going to be very hot and you're going to take a debuff damage. The different biomes, for this one it would be a heat buff, or heat debuff, sorry. And there is also snow biomes, you would take a cold debuff, and forest biomes, which would give you a poison debuff. So you would, if you're going to be in those biomes, you want to come here to your blacksmith and make these resistances. You have the necklace and you have a ring. And you have a spot for a necklace and a ring. So each item has stats, of course, and some of them are good and some of them are bad. You need to make a choice depending on your playstyle. If you don't need a whole lot of attack, but you need magic attack, then look for those specific stats. Some items, for example this one, give you abilities. And the icon here tells you it gives you an ability, and you can read what it does here. I'm not going to read it for you. If you want, you can pause it and read through it. And you have your armor. This is the very basic armor that you can make at the very beginning. It's not really a big deal, but it's better than running around it. Okay. So we covered those two. Come back to here. In your workbench, you have your hatter. Cost 5 copper, 5 wool, which you get from your sheep that are around, and leather. Leather is best found by dungeons. If you find a dungeon on your map, you haven't unlocked one yet, there is usually a bear there. If you kill the bear, you usually drop between 1 to 5 leather, so it's not a very difficult thing to farm up. They respawn pretty quickly, so if you stand there for a good 5 minutes and you just keep doing, you'll have more than enough leather to make whatever you like. So, the next item up would be, hold on, let's place it down. Okay. Put that here. The next item has your furniture workbench. Okay. 5 stone, 5 logs, and 1 copper ore. Let's go ahead and place that down. Oh, if you noticed, here my header kind of tipped over. If you hold E, you can pick it back up. Sometimes things just tip over randomly. It's still early access, so yeah. Okay. Alright, it doesn't want to stand that way, so let's try it this way. There we go. So, the furniture workbench. This setup here is purely decorational. There's really no functionality. If you're into building houses and barns and whatnot, then this is where you're going to find everything you need. Your walls, your roofs, editable signs. You can place it down and write something on it to mark what something is. And if you have a chest, you can put it there and say it's full of copper ore. We got some seasonal stuff here. I don't know if that's going to change. You're going to have more different seasons. Yeah. We'll get into this more a little bit later on in the video. Gonna let you go. Next up is the washing machine. Now this station is really confusing to me. So if we place down the washing station, we can find it. There it is. And we place it down. Now this one is very strange because there are items, for example this iron sword has stats. If you put it into this washing machine, you can remove the stats. Same with crafting materials. Crafting materials is how you get stuff like this with stats. Depending on what crafting material you use, it has likelihood of maybe giving the item that stat. It's not guaranteed, it's probably a very low chance. We'll get into that a little bit more later on after I get a little bit more experience and know-how with it. But until then, I don't see really a purpose of taking stats off of something. For example, here, just find something with negative stats. Okay, this skeleton's fang has -5 defense. Why would I take that and wash it and get rid of those stats when I can come over to my workbench, build a market, which I already have one, place it down here, and just sell it. It makes more sense to me to sell something, make 300 gold, than have a blank item. But that's just me. Anyway, that's also the market. That's your way of making the gold that you need to purchase more things. For example, opening more maps and later on repairing stuff. So now repair station. Repair station. Put that down here. Now, what do I have? Okay, let's repair this. It cost me 42 gold to repair it per hand. When I repair something, this is done, the durability drops. It dropped by 1. So that's why you want this station. Now, if I go into this station, put this into here. Let me just repair. Okay, apparently it didn't go down. But if you repair something a lot, the durability drops. Okay, yeah, here it is. Durability 89 of 89. Max durability 90. So if I put that in there, it costs me 5,520 gold, and it will give me back that 1 point of durability. Again, I don't understand why you're going to wash something and you can sell it and make gold. So, that is your repair station. That is essential. You're going to want to make that as soon as it's available. Right, and now we get into farming and cooking. Farming, you're going to start with your wheat farm. It's the very first one you get. Now, crafting here is a little janky. Everything is set to a predetermined grid for your building of houses and whatnot. Yeah, you can rotate it, but elevation and turning it at an angle is just not working. So when you're placing something, if you're going for aesthetics, you want to try and find a flat place where it's actually going to be above everything. So if I place this here, you're still going to see a little grass sprouts to it. That doesn't bother me too much, but it could bother you, so just so you know. Now, we got this done. We need to water it. So in order to water your plants, you need to make, in the beginning, empty buckets. I don't think I have any empty buckets. Yes, I do. Okay, so you take the empty bucket after you've crafted one. You go down to a water source without swimming. Right click. Now you lost the item empty bucket, and it gave you a new item in its place, water bucket. So you take your water bucket and come over here and you need to switch it. Put the full water bucket and then right click and you'll throw it and you've watered your plants. Now if you place your plots here in a square, if I were to stand in the middle of this one and throw it in that direction, it would water this plot and that. If you stand here and you have plots on all three edges here and throw it in that direction, I'm pretty sure it does all three. Not possible, but I think it works. I've seen that. So that's watering plants. It takes a minute for it to grow, so we're going to move on while it's growing. The next item that you can make is your campfire. 5 stone, 5 blocks. This one you're going to want to put down where it's clearly visible. And I'll show you why. So, if you put it here in the grass, they're hard to see. And if you walk over it, you're going to burn yourself. And burning hurts. So, now, our wheat is finished. It's going to have a green ring, and you're going to see it pop up. So what you're going to do is right click to hit it, and gather your wheat up. And that's it. You do need to water it at this point each time. So that's why it's good to put them in rows so you can water more than one and save yourself buckets. Because once you water it, your full bucket, you don't always get back an empty one. And chicken just spawned in my farm. And chickens. See? After you have that, you are going to want to build your fillet machine. I'm going to get one. Equip it. Let's put that over here too. Just to keep all the cooking stuff together. So, fishing. Not one of my favorite things to do in games. if it's your thing, you're going to have to build yourself a fishing pole. You can do that directly from your handcrafted items. It's 10 logs, 1 stone, and 3 straw. Once you have your fishing pole, you're going to equip it, and you're going to come down here to the water's edge and find a pool of 3 fish swimming around. All you gotta do is left click and cast it out, wait for the bobber to drop, and then immediately catch it again. It doesn't put it directly in your inventory, so if you're casting and you're not seeing anything in your inventory, it's usually landed behind you. Each pool will allow you to catch 3 fish. See? Go ahead and catch 3. So we got 2 salmon and a black bass. Now, cooking and crafting work very similar. Now, if you look here, which one did I do? Yeah, okay. In the regular fish, if you eat it raw, it'll give you 35 health, 35 mana, and 25 food. If you fillet it, you lose the mana and the health, and you only get 15 food. And your stats down at the bottom stay the same. So we're going to cook that and get us a fish fillet. And we're at it, we're going to cook one of these as well. Now we've got those. The next thing we can make is your cooking pot. That was right next to the fireplace and the crafting room. If you go in there, this is where you start getting a little bit more in detail. Each one of these, as you would expect, requires different ingredients. We just got fish, so we're going to cook some fish. The fish that we caught and filleted had stats. Where'd they go? Here. See, they didn't stack. This one, if you cook it, it has a chance to give the fish that you cooked life damage 10. If you cook this fish, it has a chance to give you all of these. So whichever material you're using to cook, always make sure the one that you want is in the first slot, because that's the one that's going to pull from first. So if we cook another fish, and like that, and cook up, and pick it up, we'll go into our inventory, and now we have 2 fish. Like that. If I take this one and put it in the first slot, this one only had life damage 10. So if we cook that fish up, it should give us one with life damage 10 or nothing at all. It gives us nothing at all. So that ability, life damage plus 10, just kind of fell off. Run over here to our workbench and see what else we got. Those we've already covered. The marketplace we've already covered. After that, we've got cannons. These are a little weird. I just tried these in my last video. They're mildly entertaining, but I don't really see a purpose for them just yet. So I place this down. Now I have a giant cannon sitting here. If I go walk up to it, it puts me in the cannon and shoots me. Really, I guess that's maybe a way of gliding around further, I'm not sure. It's kind of entertaining. After that, we've got your basic building blocks here. We've got some walls, some floors, some slopes. I'm not really going to go too into those, they're kind of basic. storage is essential here in this game because you get so many things where they just don't stack. And if they do stack, they only stack in stacks of 4. For example, here, the red herbs, I've got 4 stacks of red herb here. They're all different. Bards, healers, hard, and regular. And then I got underneath 2 more. Hard, more ominous, and hermits, fall mice. So for each subname, it makes its own stack. So your inventory is going to fill up very, very fast. So it's good to have a lot of chests. In that chest, in the very beginning, you don't have a whole lot of space. You've only got 8 slots. They're going to be better ones later on. So, inventory management is key, and it's also a very big pain in the neck. Clay I haven't used yet, but it doesn't mean it's useless. If you click on an item, it'll tell you what you need to build it, and it gives you this info panel here. If you look in the lower right of the info panel, you get a details button. Clicking on that, it shows you here again the item and what you need to do to get it, either collecting it or crafting it yourself with the ingredients. It also shows you what this item is an ingredient for. For example, here, tree seedlings will let you plant a tree somewhere in the world. If you click on that, it just shows you the same thing. It shows you the item and then what you need to do to make it and then what it's used for. So it's a pretty intuitive system that they got here. Intermediate products are products that you need to only have to make other things. For example, for old rags, take 2 straw to make 1, and they are used over here in your blacksmith to make your armors. And 5 old rags to make your armor. The World Heritage items I don't see really a purpose for other than maybe to sell because they're very expensive, but I don't really need to have a pyramid in my island. Just me. This video ended up being a lot shorter than the original, but hopefully I've covered everything, and hopefully I've maybe helped you out, maybe showed you something that you didn't already know, maybe you can help me out if I missed something, but this is going to be the end of this episode, and when we come back, we are going to progress to the next page, which will be, as soon as that's done, I believe it's the frontier age, if I remember correctly. We'll look at that the next video. I am going to do some resource gathering off camera and probably organize this a little bit better, and then we'll see what the next page brings. Until then, have a good one, and I hope I see you guys next time. Alright, take it easy.